So you know the project exists in a certain environment. No matter you are in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, UK, USA, everyone has its own environment. There is an impacts in those environments, external impacts, internal impacts, right? So we are talking about the influences. When we are talking about the influences, the most and major role of two elements here is OPS and EEF, organizational process assets, and second, enterprise environmental factors. For the OPS has two types: process, policies, procedures, corporate knowledge base. EEF also has two types: internal and external. Let's see here. Project was controlled in an environment and affected by OPS and EEF. Okay, so project was controlled in an environment and affected means no matter how good planning you have done, you cannot stop external factors. Can you? You can't, right? You cannot say that you are not going to use this template, the template which came from your organization. So these are something going to influence the way project you want to take. Enterprise environmental factors can be internal or external, right? Now, here OPS are always internal to the organization. EF are the influence not under control of the organization or the project management team that affect the organization, the project, and the outcome. So here EEF is not in your control, right? Not in your control as a project management team, and hence it will affect the organization, it will affect the project, and it will affect the outcome of it. And here it is something means input to the most of the processes. So whatever you are planning, if you are planning for the schedule, if you are planning the scope, if you are budgeting your project, so everywhere this OPs and EF you are going to consider what all things will be influencing to my projects. What's all in terms of OPs I'm going to use the checklists or templates, or what is the process policies. So that you need to consider when you are doing the planning activities. And that is what it is written here, means input, the reference. Now let's talk about further about EEF. So you know there are two types: EEF internal and EEF external. Let's talk about internal EEF. Includes structure, culture, system, and geographic location of the organizations. The structure which we have discussed right now: functional, organization type, projectized structure, right? Matrix or structure. So this is, however, it's internal, right? It's your organizational structure. So it's internal. But are you going to change it? Rahil, your question was how you are going to decide, or who will be deciding in which structure we are working. So here a structure will be already defined in your organization and within which you are going to work. If there is a projectized organization, you are going to work as a project manager in the projectized, and you will be getting everything, right? Because this organization is organized entirely for the project. So you'll be getting all the support. But if you're working in a such a huge organization, they are not much focused on the project. However, based on the client request, if they are doing the project, creating any product, so there they have given you few people from XYZ departments to get your project activity done. So there be acting as a project expediter or project coordinator, right? So this is something you can't change because this is coming from your organization, right? Got it? So these are some internal factors, internal influence. Now it is going to influence your projects. The way you will be working in the console will be different than the projectiles, right? And different from the matrix. Now coming to the external, EA include governmental, other rules, regulations apply to the performing organizations. Are you going to stop the policies, the regulations coming from your government, local government? You can't. It will definitely impact your project. So today is a government, and no one is knowing nowadays government is not unstable most of the countries. Okay. So if you have started some project and the current government is supporting you on that project and support by the rules and regulations. Tomorrow, other government is came and the current government has been dissolved. So tomorrow, the new government might change the policies and procedure. You were working on the petrol car, and tomorrow government is coming and saying no more petrol car will be welcome to this country. Now you have to create the CNG. So how can you run the car on the road? Because it needed approval from the government, right? There is so many documentation to be approved by the government to launch in the market. So this is something external factors where you do not have control, and this is going to impact your project. Related to resource, we have EEF related to resources also, include the technology or resources available for assignment to the project. So whatever technology you have in your organization, whatever resources available in your organization, you are bound to use in your project. You can't say, I will not use this technology. I will not use these people. I need new manpower. Will they listen to you? You are just a project manager. So this is something factors impacting to your project in terms of resources means whatever available resources you have in your organization, you are going to use in your project. Documentation of skills, abilities, internal and pre-approved external resources that are available through approved agreements. So these are all related to the resources. Also, you will have EF related to the project management. So how you'll be doing the project management in your project, somehow it will be also impacted. Like if you are involved in getting the supplier, in getting the subcontractors, so you have a procurement system already in your organization. There are certain criteria already defined through which you have to go through to select the seller. So are you going to change this procurement system? You can't, because this is coming from the organization. It has been developed by the organization over the time, right? And there is a control over this procurement system by the PMO or by the higher authority. So you can't change it. You just have to follow it. For similarly, for the QMS, quality management system, you have to follow it. For the resource management system, how people will get into the system. There is a hierarchy of policies. So have to wait. No matter how urgently you are looking for the people to deploy in your project, you have to wait because people will be get hired as per the resource management system. Have you felt ever that you disappointed with this such kind of the system? There is a screening going on, there is advertisement going on, there are so many people coming for interview, and then they are not meeting the requirement, they are asking too much money, or maybe they are not skilled enough, or maybe in HR round they are getting rejected. So there are lots of things. Sometimes you get disappointed. You want a straightforward some people to immediately deploy in your project. So these are something in terms of project management where you do not have control and you have to follow it. Again, here internal and external EF, you can see culture, structure, organizational structure, political conditions, available resources, infrastructure. These are external EF, government regulations, market conditions, external political conditions, industry standards, legal restrictions. Let's talk about the OPs. So OPs is here, process, policies, and procedure for conducting the work, right? Policies, procedures, standard templates, general guidelines. Project management team cannot update or modify these elements. Higher management can make decision to update or modify. So here, you as a project management team cannot modify. Of course, you can recommend, and higher authority can take the decision to modify. Means PMO is there; he can take the decisions. Second type of OPS is corporate knowledge base. So corporate knowledge base we use for storing and retrieving the information. Like you can store here risk register, lesson learned, stakeholder register, past project files, historical information. You can retrieve. Even future team can retrieve whatever you are storing here. Future team can retrieve whatever you are storing here, right? So this corporate knowledge base we use for storing and retrieving the project information.